Welcome back to another year of math, and we're going to start with activity sheet 1. It's rational and irrational numbers, practice and problem solving AB. The first thing we're going to do is write each fraction as a decimal. Unlike last year though, I am only going to be doing all the odd numbers, which leaves the even numbers to you. This will get you an example right next to the one that you're doing that will help you figure out the one that you're working on without giving you every single answer to where all I'm doing is getting you guys to write down whatever I write down. So it gets you a little thinking a little bit more. Let's start with the first one. It says 1/8, and we have to write that as a decimal. Well, if we're going to write that as a decimal, we would say that's, let's see, 1 divided by 8. And if you do that, you realize you have to put a 0 over here, okay, next to the 1, so you got your decimal and you're there, and then you can take 8 into 10, because you can't take 8 into 1. When you do that, you'll see that you can go ahead and you'll get 1/8 here, okay, and that'll give you a remainder of 2. Well, we still have to keep going until we have totally got a number there. And remember, our decimal point is going to follow us up. So we got 0.1 right now, and that's going to be 8 going into 2, which again we'll have to put a 0, which makes it 20, and that'll go into it 2 times, because 8 times 2 is 16. Now that we've gotten that far, we can subtract 20 from 16, and that leaves us 4. Well, that's when it gets better, because now when we add the 0, we get a nice round 40, and we can take 8 and put it into 40 5 times. And that tells us, because 40 minus 40 is 0, that our dividing is over, and our answer is going to be 0.125. So the answer to number 1 is 0.125, and we're just going to erase that work now to get it out of the way. And for those of you wondering if I did it right, here's your way to check. And don't forget that I do want you to go ahead and check it inside of the or do your work written out, just in case you're not allowed a calculator. But if I was allowed one, which most of you probably will at home, since I'm not watching, I would simply take 1 divided by 8, and it would equal, look at that, 0.125. So I know my answer is right. All right, we're going to move on to number 3 now. Number 3 says 11/20. So that's going to be 11 divided by 20. And we'll work this one out as well. 11 divided by 20. And if I do that, I realize I can't put 20 into 11, so I have to put a 0 at the end of there. Now, how many times does 20 go into 110? Well, remember to bring my decimal point up. That tells me I can put that in 5 times, because 5 times 20 is 100. And if I do that, I have to put 5 up here. And that leaves me how much here? Well, let's see, that leaves me 10. Now, can 20 go into 10? No, so I have to put another 0, but 20 can go into 100. Goes into it 5 times, right? And if I take and put it into it 5 times, that means I have 100 minus 100, and my division is over with again. My answer is going to be 0.55. All right, I'm leaving number 2 and all the even ones for you guys to work, but I'm going to show you again using the calculator to check my answer if it was correct. And if I did that, I would take 11 divided by 20. That's my numerator divided by my denominator, and it would give me 0.55. All right, for the rest of these, I am going to use the calculator, because I'm smart enough to know that's what you're going to do at home. And if I do, I see that I have 14 divided by 15, 14 divided by 15, and that's going to equal 9.3333 infinity with 3 there. Okay, repeating. So a 0.93, and if I do that, 0.93, and I can remember the rule is if a number is repeating, I can put a line over it, and that identifies that number as repeating infinitely. So I can leave my answer like that. We're going to go down to number 7 now. Number 7 is 3 divided by 100. So let's clear this out. 3 divided by 100. And that's going to equal 0.03. So I can put 0.03, and nothing's repeating, so I will leave my answer like that. All right, the next section says find the 2 roots of each number. Find the 2 roots of each number. All right, and if I do that, I realize that I have to find a number that multiplied to itself will equal 25. Well, again, I could very easily use my calculator. I mean, I could use my brain too, and I know that 5 times 5 equals 25. But I have to remember, okay, that the equation says that I should say the square root of 25 is going to equal a positive or negative 5. Okay? So in other words, my answer, I'll have 2 answers, okay? Find the 2 square roots each, and they're going to want you to have both of them. So this would read positive 25 and negative 25 as my 2 answers. Okay? And I'll erase my equation again. If I was going to check that with my calculator, I would simply come over here and put, let's see, 25, and find my square root sign, which is here, and boom, look at that. It's 5. Okay? But I have to remember it can be a positive 5 or a negative 5, and that's one of the reasons why using your calculator isn't always the best way, because if I did, I would just get the answer 5. All right, number 11, let's try that one, and we'll use our calculator now that we know how to use this. Remember, when I'm doing a fraction, and you know what, I'm going to write this one out again just because I am a little bit, I want you guys to know how to deal with a fraction. I'm really taking the square root of 25 over 4. That means both numbers I have to find the square root of, okay? And if I do that, I know the square root of 25 from answer 1 is going to be 5, right? And I also know the square root of 2 or 4 is 2, right? Because 2 times 2 equals 4. So my answer is going to be 5 over 2. But again, remember, that can be a positive 5 over 2 or a negative 5 over 2. Okay? And either way I do that, my answer is correct. And when you think about it in a calculator, the only way you'd be able to figure this one out is one at a time. You'd have to take 25 and get the square root, which would give you 5. And then you'd have to put 4 and put the square root sign, which would give you 2. You can't do both of them in there and get the answer you're looking for. Okay? And I'll let you figure out numbers 10 and 12. All right. Next, we're going to find the cube root of each number. The cube root. And remember, we're talking about squares and cube. We talk about square, we're finding the number we're thinking is a number multiplied to itself. But when we talk about a cube, we're talking about a number multiplied to itself 3 times. Okay? So let's just say whatever number we're looking for is a. We're looking for a number, or a, to be multiplied to itself 3 times and equal the number that we have in front of us. So what number multiplied to itself 3 times will equal 8? And when you think about it, that should be pretty easy, because 2 times 2 equals 4. And then 4 times 2, that would be 3 A's, right? 3 2's, equals 8. So the answer to this problem will be 2. Now, will it be a negative 2? No, it will not. And here's the reason why. When we're cubing things, you have to remember, if it was a negative 2, I'd have a negative times a negative, which would equal a positive, and then a negative times another negative. That would equal negative 8. Okay, so when we're cubing, it's just going to be one answer and not two different answers. Okay, I'm going to erase that one. I'll let you do number 14. And for those of you thinking, man, Mr. Mendez, that one looks like a hard one because it's so big, here's a little cheat method for you. If I was to do the square root of 8, I could say 8, and over here, look, this is the x cube sign. Oh, I'm sorry, that is squaring. My bad. Let me correct that. All right, the correct way of doing that would have been 8, and then you take this one here, which gives you the option to put squares, cube, or whatever you want to use on that. All right, and look at that. The cube root of 8 is 2. Already it says that. Okay, so you're done with that. That one was 2. Let's work the next one. The next one is 1. So I could come over here and I could put 1 cubed, and look at that, 1. And why is that? Because 1 times 1 equals 1, and 1 times 1 equals 1 again. So our answer to number 15 is simply 1. Okay? But you should be able to use those same principles with your other numbers to get the same answers. Now, for those of you wondering, hey, what if I wanted to find something more than cubed? Here is your information you need for that. Let's say I was trying to do the square root of 8, okay, and I wanted to do the cube. But instead of using this one, I can press this button, and you see now I can pick which number I want. And remember, I'm cubing, so that's 3, and then I press equal, and look, 2 comes up. Okay? It would work the same with my other problem that I had here, 1. If I had took 1, and I put the y root, and I'm letting it know that y is going to be 3, my answer would still be 1. Okay? We're going on to number 17 now. It says, approximate each irrational number to the nearest hundredth without using a calculator. Without using a calculator. Okay, this is going to get a little tricky, so follow along closely. All right, number 17 is the square root of 32, and I know it's an irrational number because it told us here, but the key to this question is the nearest hundredth. And remember, we're talking about a hundredth. Our answer has to have 2 numbers after the decimal point, because this is tenths and hundredths, right? So it's not going to be enough just to find out the closest number, because if I was just to find the closest integer, then basically I could say, well, I know 25, okay, it's 5 times 5, okay, and let's see, cubed equals 25. I could also say that I know 36, because 6 times 6 equals 36. That's bigger than 32. So I know my number has to be between 5 and 6. And since we don't want it to be way up here at 36, we know the first number is going to be 5. Okay? And if our first number is 5, and that gives us 25, we got to see what number we could put in there next. Let's start in the middle somewhere, and let's try 5.5. Okay, so we're going to erase 6 for now since we know that was too big. And if I was to take 5.5 and multiply it to 5.5, let's see what I get here. I'm pretty sure I would get 2, 25, 27, right? And then over here, well, that's going to be the same thing, 2, 7, 5. And if I add these two up, I'm going to get an answer like, let's see, the 5 comes down. And 7 plus 5, that's going to be 12. Carry the 1. 7 plus 2 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Carry the 1, and that gives us 3 over here. So the question is, all right, that's going to be 30, because remember we have two spaces where our decimal took place. That means we have to move 2 over, 1, 2, put our decimal point here. That means that would 5.5 would give us 30.25. So let's find out if maybe 5.6 will get us closer to there. And I'm going to erase this work right now. Let's see, 5. You know what, I'm going to do my work down here just so that it is not in the way of what I'm doing up here. So 5.6 times 5.6, and that's going to give us 6 times 6, which is 36, and that's 5 times 6 is 30, plus 3 is 33. And then over here, 6 times 5, well, that's 30, so we'll go with 0, and then 3 again gets carried up. This time it's 5 times 5, that's 25, plus 3 is 28. And that's going to give us 6, 3, 8, 9, 10, 11. Carry the 1, and that's going to give us 31.36. That even got us closer, and that's about as close as we're probably going to get with our tens here. So I'm going to say the second number has got to be 6. But we still have to get one more number in here to get as close as we can to 32. Because I'm fairly certain if we jumped up from 30 to 0.25 to 31.36, that was an increase of about 1.11. And if we went up about 1.11 again, we're going to be past 32. So let's go ahead and erase this work. And let's see if we can find, again, let's see, a number. We know it starts with 5.6. But let's see, let's start in the middle again, 5.6. And we'll start with the middle number 5 to see where that gets us. And we'll go 5.65. So we're multiplying it together. Remember, we're looking for a number multiplied to itself that will get us our answer. So our first one's going to be 0, 3. That's going to be 33, right? 5 times 6 is 30, plus 3, 33. Carry the 3 again. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 3, that's going to be 28. All right, and if I do that, I want to make sure that I made that 28 correctly so I don't forget what it was. Now I have the second set of numbers, which is 6, and that's 5 times 6. Let's not forget to bring our 0 over here. 5 times 6 is 30 again. Bring up the 3. That's 6 times 6 is 36 this time. 36, 37, 38, 39. We'll bring down the 9, and we'll bring the 3 over here again. 6 times 5, well, that's 30 again, plus the 3 is 33. Now we have one more set of numbers. But we know since this was 5, this answer here is going to be the same answer. So we could just say 2, 8, 3, 0, and remember to put 2 zeros here this time, right? And for those who don't believe me, look, 5 times 5, Mr. Mendez messed that up. Okay, I'm going to have to stand corrected and fix this up for you. I apologize. What I realized was at the beginning I should have had 5 times 5 over here, which would have made 25. Somehow or another I started with a 0. So I'm going to fix this up. And again, I apologize. Even Mr. Mendez makes mistakes. And let's try this again. If I do this, it's going to give me 25. That gives me 2 over here, not 3. And that's 32. And we bring up the 3, and now we have 28. And now we have the number over here, which I did have right, which is 5 times 6 is 30. Bring up the 3. That's going to be 39. Put the 3 here, 25, 28. Okay, and then of course we do the same thing here, but it's going to be this number, not the one I had before. So we got 2, 8, 2, 5. Okay, and when we add all these together, we're going to get, let's see, 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 0 is 2. That was a little bit of a glitch there, I apologize. And then we have 8 plus 9 plus 5. Well, 8 plus 9 is 17, and 17 plus 5, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So that's going to be a 2 again. And we carry the 2. And now we have 2 plus 2 plus 8 plus 2. Well, 8 plus 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12, plus 2 is 14. And then, so we'll bring up the 1 from the 14, and that's 8 plus 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. Carry the 1 again, and look at that. Now we have, remember, 1, 2, 3, 4 place values we had bringing in for our decimal. So we have to go 4 in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Our number is 31.4225. And that is really close to 32. I dare to say it's probably going to be the answer, but I have to check 5.66 just to make sure. And remember, we're away from that number now by about 500, 775. Okay, so we're going to check really quick here. If I was to go ahead and take this number and make it 5.66 times 5.66. All right, and if I do that, we got see, 6 times 6, that's 36. Bring up the 3. That's going to be 36 plus 3, that's 39. The 3 comes over. 5 times 6 is 30, so that leaves 33. Now, because it's the same number, I know that this number is going to be 33, 9, 6 as well. Okay, and then a 0 at the end. And this last number is going to be different because 5's down there, so I'm going to have to work that one out. 5 times 6 is 30. Carry the 3, that's 30 plus 3 is 33. The 3 comes over again, 25 plus 3 is 28, and we're ready to add. All right, and if we do, that's 6, 9 plus 6 is 15. Carry the 1. 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 3 is 13. Carry the 1. We got 3 3's here. That's 9, plus 1 is 10. Carry the 1. That's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Carry the 1, that is 3. And look at that. Moving my decimal point over 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Puts me at 32.0356. And that is closer to 32 actually than when we did 5.65 times 5.65. So my answer to this problem is going to be 5.66. And if I put that on the number line, I would have to go after 5, but before 6, a little bit more than the middle, probably about right here, would be where my answer would be on the number line. Okay, and that solves number 21. I will leave number 22 to you. Remember, it says try to do it without a calculator, okay? I know many of you will be tempted to go ahead and just plug that in, and you probably will get a suitable answer, okay? If I wanted to check my work, for instance, and say, well, what is that? I could say 8 square equals, oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one, isn't it? Excuse me. Clear. Let's see here. We were on this one here. I placed that answer in the wrong spot. 5.66. My apologies again. I'm a little rusty, so forgive me. Now, if I put 32 in my calculator, 32, hit my square symbol, 5.656. And look, since 6 is bigger than 5, then we have to round up to the nearest hundredth. That would be 5.66. So we did the right thing. I'm going to take the shortcut with number 19 because this video is getting pretty long. And if I do, I would say, okay, 18, square root of 18 is going to be 4.24. And this number is not bigger than 5, so it would be 4.24. 4.24. I want you to practice doing it without a calculator, because if I give you a test and I tell you you can't use a calculator, you're going to want to know how to do it the right way. Okay, but for the sake of shortening up this video, I took a little shortcut with number 19. Number 21 says approximate each irrational number to the nearest hundredth without using a calculator. Then plot each number on the number line. Oh boy, here we go again. Well, let's keep in mind over here, we have, this must have been a mismark. I'm going to see if I accidentally, yes, that was me. All right. The square root of 8. Well, I know that 2 times 2 is 4. And I know 3 times 3 equals 9. And my answer is going to be between 2 and 3 then. What that tells me, though, is it's so close to 9, it's going to be a lot higher, a number. I'm going to go ahead and just throw it out here that I'm going to go with 2.8 as my first guess and see if that's close to the number I'm looking for. And remember, they're saying approximate each rational number to the nearest hundredth without a calculator. So let's see what we get. 2.8 times 2.8, and it might be even 9, I'm not sure, but 8 times 8 is 64. 8 times 2 is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And now we've got to take the next set of numbers, which would be 2 times 8, and that's going to be 16. And we're going to carry the 1 this time. So that's 4, 5, and that's going to give us 560. When we add these numbers together, we get 4, we get 8, and we get 7. Look at that. 7, and we got to count how many times we went over, which is 1, 2. So 1, 2. Our number is 7.84. Wow, that tells me right there I'm so close to 8. The 7's got to be my first number. But remember, once again, as we did over here, We have to find it to the nearest hundredth. The nearest hundredth. So let's see, I'm going to erase this part here. And then we're going to go down here. And let's see, even though I know that first number is more than likely going to be 2, and the second number more than likely is going to be 8, I need to figure out what the next number is. So we're going to go a little bit higher, and let's see, since it was so close, I'm going to go with 2.81 and see what I get there. 2.81. And if I do that, I can see that I've got, let's see, 1 times 1 is 1, 8 times 1, well, all this is going to be 281, we know that. The second set of numbers is going to be 8, then 64, so the 4 goes down, 6 get carried over, and then 16 plus 6, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay, and we have to remember to, once again, put a 0 here. Third set of, for the third row, I'll need 2 zeros, and I have 2 times 1, which is 2. 2 times 8, which is 16. And that carries the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Let's see if we went over or not. Okay, so we have, that's going to be a 1. That's going to be a 16. Carry the 1. That's 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, that's going to be a 8. And that's going to be a 7. Wow. When I bring my digits over, we can see that we're still at 7.8961. We're close. We're really close. But I think we're going to have to go up just a little bit more. We're going to write this one off to the side just to remember over here. 7.8961. That's what we got when we got 2.81 squared. Okay? But now we're going to try and see if we can get closer with maybe, let's see here, 2.83. Okay? And if I do that, 2.83, we see that we've got, well, 3 times 3, that's 9. 3 times 8, that's 24. Carry the 2, that's 6, 7, 8. Now if I go 8 times 3, well, once again, we have 24. 2 gets carried over. 8 times 8 was 64, so 65, 66. A 6 comes over here now. 2 times 2 is 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think we're going to be in trouble there, but we'll check. I think we're going to go over by a little bit, I'm almost sure. Now we have 2 times 3. We've got to use our zeros. That's going to be 6. 2 times 8 is 16. Carry the 1. Then 2 times 2 is 4. I have to apologize. I did 2 times 2 and then added 6 over here. It should have been 2 times 8. Let me erase this over here. For those that didn't follow, over here it was 64, 65, 66. The 6 came over. It should have been 8 times 2 is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22. Okay. And now, let's get back to this one. We had 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 8, that's 16. So that's going to be a 6 again. But carrying a 1. And 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And let's see if we got even closer now. We got 0. No, that's 9. Sorry. That's 8. That's 12 plus 8, that's 20. We carry the 2, so that's going to be 6 plus 2 plus 2, well, that's 10. And look at that. We just barely went over. Just barely. And so I'm going to go ahead and say that is probably as close as we're going to get. I'm going to go with 2.83 as my approximate answer. And if I go to my number line now that I found my answer, I can erase all this. Okay, I can say that 2, this is 1, this is 2, and it's going to be farther than the middle because this is 3. Probably about right here is 2.83. All right, and I'm going to leave you on number 22 to do on your own. All right, we are at the point of number 23. A tablet weighs 1.3 pounds. What is the weight written as a mixed number? A mixed number. Now, because we have a 1 as our first part of the answer, and a mixed number we remember is, let's just use an example, like 3 and 1/2. That would be a mixed number, right? Because I have an integer, right? A whole number, or a whole number, and then I have a fraction with it. Okay, so we're looking for a mixed number that will represent 1.23. Since our first number is 1, we already know what that number is. 1, right? We have 1 of something, we have 1 whole of something. Now we have 23 here, and much as the book said, we have 23.23. We've got to remember to use 1 more digit than what's there when we make a fraction. So that would be multiplying 23 by 23, 23 by 100, which would give you 23, and, right, yeah, x equals 0.23, so you multiply both by 100, okay? And if I do this, that tells me that I'm going to get 23 over 100, right? Because this is going to be 100x, and I have to divide 100 from it. You might be used to seeing the x afterwards, same thing, and then bring my 100 over to get rid of it, to get x by itself. So x is going to be 23 over 100. And if that's the case, my answer would be 1 and 23 over 100. All right, I'm leaving all the rest to you. Good luck. Use those brains, and I'll see you in class.